Below, the river ripped a jagged tear in the vast fabric of boreal forest. Vast, a vast land, a vast life. Vastly different than her life in LA with Julian. Before him, she'd thought of torrid passion as nothing but a media fable. Then he came into her world, and intense love was unleashed, and out of that Pandora's box leapt everything else as well. Was it her childhood wounds that had left her vulnerable? I sometimes think Southern people feel their cities protect them from nature. Then they come north and are shaken by the harshness, Margaret said. Below them, reedy silhouettes looked more like pins stuck in a pincushion than trees in a forest. But I hope they also see that in nature, beauty and harshness are partners. Like when in the cold of winter night, the Borealis tumbles radiant waves down from the heavens as if to offer a ladder to that mystical place. My grandfather used to say that the aurora borealis are our ancestors dancing in the spirit world. The North's preferred method of transportation, Margaret laughed. Come on, I'm taking you to the Winter Sunrise Festival. From December to January, in the polar night, the sun never rises above the horizon. Today, we welcome it back into our sky. The Inuvik drummers and dancers are performing at the community hall, Margaret told Elizabeth. You'll want to see them. The next morning, Elizabeth scouted out the town before a day full of meetings. Inside a sewing shop, a cornucopia of hues and textures created a crazy kaleidoscope. Brightly colored felt cloth and a vibrant patchwork of cotton prints competed for her gaze. She lifted a velvety fur. Weightless warmth caressed her cheek. Elizabeth left the store, artistic soul gratified. In the local college's studio space, Margaret admired a painting received from an artist she'd mentored. Elizabeth fretted. Tomorrow, in the tiny hamlet of Tuktoyaktuk, she'd do her first product evaluation for the European exhibitions. Evaluations were such a hard piece of the artistic puzzle. For the act of creating is not complete until it passes from artist to audience, and in those moments between presentation and response, an artist is laid bare. At least that had been her experience with Julian when he was a guest lecturer in her studio class. Oh, it wasn't just Julian who brought down the flimsy foundations of her confidence. Poser, not good enough. How many times did those refrains plague her, even now, in this job, yet not once were they heard from others. Instead, the childhood descriptors of flake and kook, used by parents and siblings for that which they did not understand, reinforced her oddness early on, and so invited the wolf in. Perhaps if she'd heard you think differently, feel differently, because you have an artistic personality, defenses could have been built. But with nothing said, the only enemy fought was the insinuation of those two words. On her way back to the hotel to meet von Braumann, Elizabeth saw a bit of the 16 kilometers of above-ground utilidors that crisscrossed Inuvik, carrying water and sewage, a necessity in this land of permafrost, where trenches dug for underground utilities melted the exposed ground, plummeting it into a hole bigger than you could imagine. Waiting for von Braumann in the coffee shop, she tried to think of a good news story to tell him about the exhibitions. "I start selecting art in Tuck tomorrow," she blurted. "I'm sure your vision as an artist will create an exhibit that slays them, Elizabeth." Slang in his impeccable European accent was both funny and kinda sweet, she had to admit. "Is it difficult for you to be here in the north?" She reached for the connection he offered. Solitude so bottomless, it tinged all, slipped away. Dietmar sat back from her. "I've been told there are two kinds of people who come to the Arctic. Those running from something and those looking for something. Once in the north, these two camps split even further into those who love it and can't imagine life anywhere else, and those who can't wait to get the hell out. However, no matter to which camp one belongs, all who come share the bond of a dream that takes them so far from home. And whether those dreams are achieved or shattered, all are irrevocably changed." Later in her hotel room, she sat to write the overwhelmingness and the awe of everyday life in the Arctic. Wisps of thoughts drifted into a mosaic of reflections. The image of her hand in Dietmar's took on a changed. She thought about the story he'd told. Was she running from the shadowy landscape of her past, or looking to find a bright, open horizon?